Hello everybody, welcome to another series of tutorials on how to prepare yourself for the Chevening interview. This is a series of tutorials that's going to be 3 parts, and I am going to cover 30 most important questions that will definitely pop up in the Chevening interview. I'm trying my best to give you the questions, and I also write the questions in case you are not familiar with my pronunciation. And also I'm going to provide you or explain to you how to answer those 30 questions. So it's going to be in 3 parts. In each part, to make it separate, I cover around 10 questions so that I make also the videos very short for you to be able to watch them in your free time and also prepare for the interview. Let's dive deep into the questions now. Okay, here's question number 1. The first question that you will face is, of course, as you know, it's the introduction. It's going to be a very simple question, and the question is simple. Actually, the answer is not simple because you will be asked to introduce yourself. The first thing is the panel will introduce themselves. So I think this is a good icebreaker because you get to know them first, the interviewers or the panel, and they are definitely, or most of the time that I have faced at least 2 years, and I have asked my friends, and I found that normally they are very friendly and they want to start the introduction in a very friendly environment. First they interview themselves and then they ask you to introduce yourself. So normally the question is, can you please introduce yourself, or can you please talk about yourself? So a lot of people, I have had a lot of questions from my friends and people on social media channels and also in my YouTube channel that they have prepared a very long introduction, like 4 or 5 paragraphs. I have to tell you that you are not going to be given that much big amount of time in order to answer such a very big, answer given. So try to make it as short as possible, to the point, and make it something to, impress them as much as possible. For example, if you are asked the question, can you please introduce yourself? And then the way how you would answer them, of course, it depends on your own achievements, your own character, style, everything. But what I would recommend you, or what I have done it myself, I started to give a very brief introduction in 3 parts. First, I said, like, my name is Sirat Haidari. I am currently, because my job was very important, so I had to say it, I currently work as the deputy director of this important center with the government of my country. At the same time, I am the founder and president of Roshna Social Organization. It's a very, maybe not very, it's a very important or a very good position for me, and also this is a very good organization in my community working for law development, public awareness, and fundamental rights. And then I say I studied, because I have to say what's my field, where do I come from. I studied law at the American University of Afghanistan. This is how I, give the important things in order to put a very good impression on the interviewers, because most of the applicants, they are very, high profile people. So it's always good to, have a good stand. You say, okay, I am working at this important position. I have this organization, this firm. If you are, for example, teaching at the same time at a university, or if you have an organization, if you have a very important or a very famous company, so you talk about them immediately in the beginning. So these are very important. And then you say, well, if you have any other important achievements, you say, I had a very big platform working for peace and reconciliation at that time. I just said, I recently launched the Peace and Reconciliation platform with the support of the First Lady of Afghanistan, because I wanted to, put an impression on them, and a very good impression. So I have to talk about the president of my country if I have relation, or the First Lady, because I don't have relation with the president. So I went on with the First Lady, and we are working for peace in Afghanistan. We have invited over 400 participants from all over Afghanistan to come to Kabul for 1 month, and they are working to write a resolution to represent the youth community in the peace talks in Doha. So this is how I started to give my introduction. I have seen some friends who had sent me their introduction to review. It was very long. I have always, gave them this to, make it as short as possible. This is it. We go to the second question. The second question is, talk about your past. Where do you come from? Or how did you land here today? So don't tell everything. Let them ask you the question as well. So by answering this question, you just say, okay, I am graduate of law, political science, computer science, whatever you are, literature, IT field, any field from this university. And if you are from that specific province where the interview is taken, then you say, well, I'm from this city, or I come from another province, and you talk about your province very simply. I come from this province, it's in the north. And if you don't have access to education very much in those cities, it's good to mention it, that because of, although there are a lot of problems in my province, for example, if you are a lady and you have challenges like discrimination, these things, you say, although there are these discriminations in these communities, but still I stand out of the crowd and graduated from this university, and today I'm here because I have a dream, and the dream is to to work for the future, and to go through this Chevening scholarship so that I would go back to those communities and help them. And then you also talk about your work, if you haven't talked it, or even if you talked in the beginning, because I just said I'm the president of this organization, but I didn't say what the organization is doing. So this is the time that you say, okay, this organization is working for social and community development. Or if you are working in a firm, in a big company, in an organization, you talk about your organization. You talk about your extra activities and all these things. So make it as short as possible, of course. And the third question, talk about your education background. So, like, the question is going to be, maybe they are going to ask you like 2-3 questions, and they want you to answer. Maybe they will still continue. Okay, were you involved in any extracurricular activities during your education, or what are your biggest achievements during your education career? There may be one question, or there may be 3 questions coming in a row. So be prepared to sometimes combine 2 answers into one, or separate your answers. So pretend if it's talk about your education background, you say, okay, I'm graduated of for example, I said I'm graduated of law from the American University of Afghanistan in 2000X, and I studied law. And then if there were a question, were you involved in extracurricular activities? I said yes, I was involved in a lot of the clubs that we have. I was a member of the Law Student Association. I was a member of the Immune Club, the Photography Club. I had participated in 3 different moot court competitions. For example, international commercial volume CVS international commercial arbitration moots, and ICC moot, and model United Nations conferences, and speech club, and debate club. So this is how I would give explanation of my activities or my extracurricular activities. And then what are your biggest achievements during your educational career? Even if you were not asked, you will be asked once you talk about all your achievements. And what I said, because I participated in a moot court competition in Hong Kong, and in Hong Kong I was ranked 11th out of 440 participants from all around the world. So that was my biggest achievement at that time during my education career. So I said, well, I participated in this moot court competition. We went to Bahrain, Kuwait, and Hong Kong. And finally in Hong Kong, which was the international rounds, I landed up with this position. The fourth question is what field, is going to be exactly this one. What field did you study and why? Of course, you should make it clear when you talk about your education career. Be careful to, answer this question when you talk about your education career. So you don't give them a chance to, okay, I didn't understand what did you study. For example, if I say, or I have said I studied law, then sometimes, some law degrees are specific. Is it family law, business law, criminal law, international criminal law, or, intellectual property law? And I would probably be asked again, what field did you study and why? What law maybe? Or maybe they don't know it at all. Then I said, well, I studied law. There's no specialization in it. So I immediately, I graduated with general law. And the reason why I studied law, I have to provide my own reasons, my own justifications based on my interest. Was it my family that pushed me to study law, or was it myself because I liked law and I wanted to study law? This is also important. You have to say, okay, my family pushed me to be a doctor, although I don't want to be a doctor. I think it's good not to mention such a thing. Number 5, what do you want to fulfill in the field, in this field in your country? Okay, I studied law. There are a lot of people in my country, especially at the moment when I was studying law, or after I finished my law degree, a lot of people turned their faces to become lawyers. And even sometimes before that. So a lot of people were, trying to be lawyers. What do you want to do with all these people? Maybe at some point in my country, there were, trends. Some people were very much going to do journalism. Or maybe it's IT because it's the future of IT. So why? What do you want to fulfill this in your country? So think about your field. Do a very complete research based on your country. If it's law, if it's computer science, if it's economy. You say, okay, my country is in a very bad political situation or a very bad economical situation. And then because you are working in this field, you have interest in this field, and you think you can, contribute to this field in a very better way. That's why I am, studying this field in order to do my best to bring a change. I think it's good if you remember this keyword, agent of change or change agents. It is a word that's used in the Chevening, and most of the scholarship programs, they say we are looking for agents of change, or Chevening Scholarship is, helping to bring agents of change for their communities. And this is good if you say that, okay, I am trying to be an agent of change in my country or community. This is important, but you can also give your own better reasons. What I did say about my own field, I said I study international commercial law. I see that Afghanistan, we have a lot of potential. We have a lot of resources in order to be, extracted, and we have a lot of opportunities for foreign investment in my country, Afghanistan. But we have a lot of problems with the court system, with the legal system. So my aim is to be a pioneer in most of the new international investment and business things in my country, so that I could bring a change in my country, in the legislation, in the laws, in the communities, as small as it might be, so that I would open new doors for foreign investment in Afghanistan, so that way I could bring change to my country and, of course, be an agent of change. Number 6, what was your thesis about? I don't want to talk about it. You just give your answer. I just have the question here so that you know that such a question might pop up. Number 7, have you written any article, research paper, or had any other academic achievements, like a publication? Have you written something for the news? If you have, besides your thesis, if you have written something, I think this is the best place if you have to shoot all your achievements toward them. I had actually 5 articles. I said, okay, I have these articles, but I have to tell you that not all my articles were published. Only 2 of them were published in an academic journal, but 3 were like published in a website through my university links. So be careful if you say that, well, I have written 20 articles and they are not published, don't talk about them, okay? Please be careful. Just if you have, just be honest, say yes, if no, no. Some of my friends were asking me through social media, do I have to take the printed versions of my research paper? For example, if it's a book, if it's a magazine, if it's a newspaper with myself. Actually, it's difficult to answer because in some countries, the embassy will not allow you to take anything with you inside the embassy during the interview, even a book. So that's why I cannot give you the answer, but I highly recommend you, if you have a published thing, take it with yourself. Maybe at the door at the embassy or the British Council, they may stop you and will and keep it there in the locker and you can take it back. Or maybe they will let you to, bring it with yourself to the interview. Even during the interview, you can say, well, maybe it's good if you say that, well, yes, I had my book at the locker. The guards didn't allow me to bring it in. Number 7, talk about your professional background and achievements. Here, it's the best part to talk about your achievements, about your professional career. You say, well, during my education at my bachelor's degree, I was working, if you were working. If you were not working, then you say, well, after my graduation, I started to work at this place. If it's a company, a firm, an organization, the government, private or public sector, or anything it might be or it is. And you say, working at this place, I have had these achievements. For example, what I answered, I just don't want to be abstract or vague. I said, well, immediately after my graduation from the university, I started to do a short-term 3-month internship at this place, which was, a law firm. And then through my links, I started to work for the Afghanistan Center for Dispute Resolution in Afghanistan, or ACDR, Afghanistan Center for Dispute Resolution. So I started to work as the deputy director, and then I had all these, authorities, these responsibilities to work for international arbitration in Afghanistan, international business law, or foreign attraction of foreign investment in my country. Mostly, I talked about all those important things that I was trying to talk, and it was related to my field. So I encourage you not to talk about those things that they are not very much related to your field. For example, if you work at a law firm, of course you do a lot of things. You copy a lot of paper, you file, you do. If it's not related to your field of study, if it's not related to what you want to study in the UK, try to avoid them and instead concentrate on all those important things that you should mention. What I mentioned during my professional background is that I have 5 years of experience. Even during my university studies, I was studying and working and doing these internships. And at the same time, during my studies, I had also my social organization, which is partly professional involvement or background, but mostly with the profession. If you work for a private, public sector or an organization, if your own company, talk about them. And you say, okay, this place needs such an expert that I am not yet that expert. For example, I said ACDR is very new in Afghanistan, and my mission in here is to launch arbitration for the first time in my country. And I have a lot of responsibilities. I know some things, but arbitration is very new totally in Afghanistan. So if I am given this much big responsibility to launch institutional arbitration in this country, where can I know? There's no one bigger than me or better than me. That's why I have to, I face a lot of challenges, and that's why I'm looking toward this scholarship to go to the UK and learn something and then come back to contribute to my community. Number 9, talk about your social activities, volunteer activities, participation in parties or political parties or social movements and achievements. Here it's a good point to talk about your achievements. For example, you worked for, you have your own social organization, you have a book club, you have an NGO, you work for your community, you have a movement, you have like MUN club, you want to work for, you know, women empowerment, youth empowerment, kids, children, disabled, vulnerable people, any kind of volunteer activities that you did. This is the part that you should talk about it. I strongly believe, because I faced 2 years that this question was asked to me. I think definitely it will be asked, but be careful if you have such kind of talents, achievement, background, and you are not asked about this. Please be careful to talk about them, because they are very important, this kind of background, because this means if you don't talk about your volunteer activities, if you don't say that you do something extra to your community, you are not going to win the Chevening Scholarship Program. Why? Because, you know, a lot of population in every country, we just live, we go to work, we come home, and that's it. We don't work. We don't give our free volunteer time. We don't work for social development. We just work for money and our salary to live. This is it. So that's why I strongly believe you talk about this. How I answered this question, it was very simple, because I was the president and founder of Roshna Social Organization. I said, well, I founded this organization in 2015, and since then I am working for social and community development. And they were asking me give as examples, and I said, well, we have a peace program, we have a ICC moot court competition for law students, because my field is law, so I'm very much interested to, you know, have these law and legal workshops for the people. And then they were asking me, how did I get, you know, the funds, how I'm running this. This is going to come in the later parts. So you have to talk about this. If you are in a political party, I don't know if it's good to say it, because some political parties, they have their own, you know, like agendas, mindsets, which I wasn't involved in. I didn't say, and I don't say whether to say it or not. Sorry, I cannot answer that. Social movements, if you have been involved in a big change in your community, LGBT rights, I don't know, women empowerment, women's right to vote, and these kind of movements, I think it's always good to say, well, I was involved in this movement and we did or brought this change in the community. And number 10 is talk about your networks, interactions with people, and or your networking skills. So you talk about your networks. This is also another important, as you know, you have already, or you should have already written an essay for networking. So all those parts that you wrote there in 500 words, now you need to answer them in 1 or 2 questions only, and in a very short, limited of time, like 1 minute, 2 minutes maximum. So you talk, well, I have these networks, and the main reason for this question is, what are your, you know, what's the benefit of having this network? What kind of activities or achievements have you made through these networks? What kind of, you know, big achievements have you had? And you need to talk about them. So I give you my answer. My answer was that I have a lot of networks in different places. I have a network through my university at the AUF. This network is a combination of students and professors, and also the staff of the university. And we had this alumni association. I'm a member of the alumni association. I was also a member of the SGA, and also a member of the LSA, like a law student association, where there were over hundreds of students every semester joining and you know, leaving. So that's one. And then I have my own network of professionals at the ACDR, the place where I work. It's all lawyers, judges, prosecutors, arbitrators, mediators, and people working for the in Afghanistan Chamber of Commerce. And also because Afghanistan Chamber of Commerce is the place where all, like, 99% of all businesses are registered there. So I said I have a network with over 5,000 businessmen and women registered at the Afghanistan Chamber of Commerce. So this is my other network, which is very important, and I'm also in daily interaction with them, because these business people might have problems, and then this is how we solve it with the judges and connect them with the arbitrators, mediators, lawyers. You know, this is how I explain these two. And then the third network is my social organization, like my volunteer people's network, where I work for students, for your different universities, for the community, for women empowerment, legal empowerment, fundamental rights, public awareness campaigns. All these other networks that I have, it is with the, you know, with the NGOs, and also you know, this civil society. This is how I explained about my networks. So this video is now like 25 minutes long already. This is part one. I try to make the other two parts shorter, because this was the beginning, so we needed to warm up also in the beginning by explaining the answer, you know, the schedule, how we are proceeding. I hope you have enjoyed so far and learned something, and you know, found out at least how I answered these questions. See you in the next video, and wish you best of luck and success with your Chevening interview. I will see you soon in the part 2 actually.